In case you're new and haven't heard, I'm actually the founding pastor of Springwell Church. Don't start that. You'll ruin me forever. We planted Springwell over 30 years ago, and one thing I've learned in more than 3 decades of church planting is this. It's easy to start something. It's harder to finish. I would even take it a step further. It's harder to finish, and it's harder to finish well. Are you with me? Like, for example, every January, I think for many of us, our goal is to get ripped like Pastor Jonathan, right? That's our goal. I mean, y'all see him up here, stealth, slim, muscles. Why are y'all laughing? I'm gonna tell him, y'all laughed. But it's hard, isn't it? It's easy to start. Like January the 1st, we're gonna start that food plan, and we have good intentions, and it's easy to start. And the first day maybe is a little tough, but the second day, and then the third day, and then the first week, and then the second week, and somewhere along the way, most of us quit. You know why? Because starting was easy, finishing is hard. How about marriage? That was a nervous laugh. Yeah, how about marriage? Remember how easy it was in the beginning? You remember in the honeymoon phase? And if you don't know how long the honeymoon phase is supposed to last, I don't know either. I mean, maybe it was just that first night. That was it. You know, after that, it was pretty much facing reality, you know. But maybe it was the first week, maybe it was the first year. But somewhere along the way, you learned that, you know what, having a great marriage is a lot of hard work. And we didn't buy into that philosophy. We watched too many movies where boy meets girl, you know, and they fall deeply in love, and then there's conflict. But then at the end of the movie, they're walking off into the sunset to live happily ever after. I want to see them 20 years later, don't you? See, it's easy to start. It's hard to finish. How about recovery? Oh. It's easy to start. Now, some would say, not so easy. I haven't started yet. You're fighting to start. But those of us that are in recovery, those of us, yes, I am in recovery. I am in my third 12-step study that I'm pretty sure is going to last for the rest of my life. And that is a true statement. For those of us that are in recovery, we understand that the battle is every day for our fight for freedom, sobriety, whatever you want to call it. It's easy to start. It's hard to finish and finish well. As followers of Jesus, hear me. As followers of Jesus, finishing matters. We're absolutely called to start. We have to take that first step of faith. It requires a decision. It requires a decision to, you know what, leave my old way. I want to repent, and I want to turn, and I want to do the best I can. Not perfect, but the best I can to live for Jesus. It requires a step of faith. But we serve a God who didn't just finish. He didn't just start things, he finished things. And he didn't just finish, but he finished things really well. If you don't think so, go to the book of Genesis. When he created the heavens and the earth, when he created everything that is, he said, it is good when he finished, right? In fact, hear me, God's measurement of success could be boiled down to one word. And here's the word. It's faithfulness. And I don't think we're geared to think that way. I don't think we're certainly geared that way to think that way in the secular world. Success is about acquiring more. It's about climbing the corporate ladder of success. It's about establishing yourself. It's about starting here but finishing here. You know you are successful in business if you have a great business. If it's bigger than you started. But God's measurement of success is different. I'm not sure that in church we understand that either. I think that we always think that bigger is better. whatever that might mean. When really in God's economy, what we've been called to do is to be faithful. Faithfulness over the long haul. This morning we're going to meet a man who may be one of the best examples of faithfulness in all the Bible. I've already given it away. We're going to meet a guy named Noah, right? So he's the guy who built the ark, in case you kind of missed that in the beginning. And he built the ark, and then there's that weird story in church. The Lord said to Noah, I ain't singing it. Y'all got to help me. Build me a... Where in the world did Arky come from? Have y'all ever wondered that? I thought, and no wonder the rest of the world makes fun of us at church. I mean, Arky, that's the dumbest thing I have ever heard of, right? His story is in Genesis 6. And this is what it says. This is the account of Noah and his family. Noah, he was a righteous man. That'll kind of mess you up. If you grew up in church, it'll mess you up a little bit. Well, it messed me up a little bit. And he wasn't just righteous, he was also a blameless man. Blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully. There's that word again, see? Faithfully. He walked faithfully with God. And I bet you're thinking, well, of course he was faithful. He was faithful because he was perfect, right? And you saw those two words. You saw the word righteous. You saw the word blameless. And maybe your thought was exactly what my thought has always been, then I'm out. I remember what it was like to go to church. I remember what it was like to go to church and still on the inside feel like I was on the outside looking in. I was on the outside looking in because my view of everybody on the inside was that they were blameless and that they were righteous, and I knew I would never fit in with that group. The word righteous here is the Hebrew word sadiq, and it means to conform to a moral or ethical standard. To conform to, did you get that? To conform, not just to have one, not just to be able to quote a moral or ethical standard, but it means that your life is actually being shaped by that standard. And then there's the word blameless. Oh, have mercy. Well, the Hebrew word for blameless is tamim, and it means to have integrity and honor. And so maybe you're like me, you're thinking, well, then I'm out. Because maybe you're a follower of Jesus. I'm talking about a legitimate, genuine follower of Jesus. You took that first step of faith. But maybe your problem is that you've never seen yourself in that light. And so you think, you know what, I might as well give up. I'll never be blameless or righteous. So maybe you've just kind of checked out. But that's not what these words are referring to. It's actually not what these words are referring to at all. One commentator put it like this. He said, based on the context of this passage, the writer is just saying that compared to everyone else of Noah's generation, he was perfect. In comparison to everyone else, he was perfect. So let's look at verse 5 so we'll understand what this guy was talking about. Verse 5 says, the Lord saw the wickedness of mankind was great on earth, and I underlined every in my notes. And that every what? Every intent of their thoughts. The thoughts of their hearts was only evil continually. So what does that mean? It means that all they thought about all day, every day, was evil. They never had a heart for God. They never had a heart for anything that was good. Their heart every morning when they got up was to live in as much sin as they possibly could. It was all about them. It was all about an immediate pleasure. It was all about immediate gratification. It was all about them. It was all about today. They never considered God, ever, at all. So this commentator is just saying that Noah wasn't perfect, but compared to everybody else, he was. So the Lord was sorry that he had made mankind kind on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God, just compared to everybody else. He was good, which reminds me of the story about these two brothers that lived in a small town. And as the story goes, both men were as crooked as dog's hind legs. And one day, one of the old wicked, mean old nasty brothers died. And his brother went to the pastor of the local church, and he said, Pastor, he said, I want to make you an offer that you can't refuse. I want my brother at the service, I want you to remember him as a saint. The old pastor thought, and he said, well, I mean, churches, we're having some financial struggles. I mean, we really are. That $100,000 would really be awesome. And so he thought about it, and folks, as this man looked over the casket, he said, folks, as we've come here today to eulogize this man, I want you to know, as well as you already know, that this was probably one of the most mean, vile men in this county. He was a liar. He was a cheat. He was a thief. He was a manipulator. And he was a devil. And the people said, amen. He said, but folks, compared to his brother, he was a saint. That is not what I believe that this text is saying. We, even in church, are too much into the comparison game. And we can feel pretty good if we're sitting on a pew or sitting in a seat looking over at somebody else. And we can feel pretty good about ourselves if we compare ourselves to somebody else. But that is not the point. Romans 3:23 says, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. Original language of the New Testament is Greek. It's Koine Greek. And for those of you that have been around Springwell for a long time, tell me what the word all means in the Greek. It means all. Yeah. I mean, you can turn to the person beside you right now and say, you are a sinner. Go ahead. You know, it's funny because you married people, y'all just sitting there saying, And if you're dating, you don't want to say it either, right? But it's the truth. Maybe compared to Ted Bundy, you're good enough. But that's not the point. Romans 6:23 says, for the wages of sin is death. But the gift of God, the free gift of God is eternal life through Jesus Christ our Lord. We will never be enough. You hear me? You will never be good enough in this life, but because of what Jesus did on the cross, the price that he paid, that he gave his life, that he shed his blood, that he was raised on that third day. When we put our trust and our faith in him, it makes us more than enough. I just don't want you to be confused. This is not in comparison to. So what is he saying? If you look at those words mean his heart was in the game. He did fail. And sometimes he failed miserably. And there were days when he sinned on accident. Oops. Y'all had those days? No, for most of us, our days are probably, no, I knew it was sin and I chose pleasure. Am I telling, y'all just looked at me so funny when I said that. Can you say that in church at 11 o'clock on Sunday morning? It's the truth, isn't it? So one of the things I had to acknowledge, I am acknowledging in the step study that I'm in right now is that, you know what, God, I have to admit that there's some days when it comes down to it, I just choose pleasure over you. I'm not good enough. So what this is saying is there were days when he sinned and he sinned on purpose, but his heart was tender. He was in the game. And so after he sinned, his heart would be soft and pliable, and God could move in and say, what are you doing? and his heart would be broken. His heart would be broken over his sin, but more important, it's something else when your heart is broken over the fact that you know that you just broke the heart of God. Are you with me? And that's what he's saying here. The rest of the people, they didn't care about God. They didn't care about his ways. And Noah wasn't perfect. But his heart was in the game. He was faithful. So how faithful was he? Well, let's read on. Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. But the earth was corrupt in God's sight and full of violence. God saw how corrupt the earth had become, for all the people on earth had corrupted their ways. And if you want to know just how corrupt they really were, then I would like for you to go home and read verses 1 through 4. And there's a reason I'm not reading verses 1 through 4, and it's because I'm a chicken, kinda. But I want you to go home. I want you to read verses 1 through 4. There's some really deep stuff there. And then here's what I want you to do. This next week, I want you to email Jonathan. And he gave you his email address last week. And I want y'all to email Jonathan. And I want you to say, okay, so who were the sons of God? These people that he's talking about. I'm trying to help you. Y'all aren't taking notes at all. It's going to be great if y'all will email him this week and let him answer the hard questions. Verse 13, so God said to Noah, I'm going to put an end to all people, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. I'm surely going to destroy both them and the earth. And so Noah's heart was sensitive to his sin. He wasn't perfect, but his heart was soft and pliable for the Spirit of God to be able to work. His heart was in the game, but the hearts of the people were not. And God said, you know what? Enough's enough. So verse 14, so make yourself an ark of cypress wood, make rooms in it, coat it with pitch inside and out. And this is how you're to build it. And if you read the rest of that chapter, it gives very specific detail on how to build the ark. And then he said, it's going to be your family that's going to be included in the ark, and then it's going to be 2 of every kind of animal, right? And so most people know that story. You're familiar with the story of Noah and the ark. So Noah starts out to build this enormous boat. And there's some scholars that say, you check this out on your own, there's some scholars that say that it took him 120 years to build it. Now they do that based on actually Genesis 5. They even go ahead and look at that. And so they start to do some adding, and when they come up with the number, they say, well, it's probably about 120 years. Other more conservative scholars would say, no, it's probably not 120 years, but it was at least 50 years, maybe somewhere between 50 and 75 years. And why did God commission, why did he appoint Noah for this task? Because he was perfect. No, because he was what? He was faithful. He was faithful. His heart was in the game. Now, can you imagine? Can you imagine doing the same thing every day for 50 to 75 years? See, faithfulness, it's staying in the game over the long haul. And the only way that you can do that is that if your measurement of success is the same as God's. Are you with me? I talk to people who are looking for a call. And folks who don't think they have a call unless the call is very grandiose, has to be big, is to win the world. It is maybe our problem is that our measurement of success is not the same as God's. I came across this article, I don't know, probably 8 months ago. And the article is written about Gen Z and millennials entering the workforce. And this was a takeaway. It said that the average Gen Z and millennial adult will hold, watch this, 14 different full-time jobs by the age of 31. Did y'all get that? Now I thought, I'm not real good at math. My degree is not in math. But I thought, maybe you graduate when you're 18. And most people don't you have part-time jobs, maybe when you're in school, at least I did. But you don't have many full-time jobs until you graduate. So I thought maybe 11 or so years, 14 full-time jobs in 11 years. And this article was not being critical, believe it or not. It was not being critical. They were just basically saying that unlike any other time in human history, human beings are looking, watch this, listen to the word, for the next best opportunity. And so if I'm in this job and I started over here because I don't have any experience, but if I start over here and I'm in this job, but if I look over there and I think, you know what, I've learned a little bit, but I could go over there and make more money. And so, you know what, I'm out. There's no loyalty to a company anymore. That's just, and it makes sense, right? Don't you think it makes sense? I think it makes perfect sense. And so I'm over here and I'm doing my thing, and then I go over here, and then I get more experience, and then I realize that this company over here is a much bigger company, much larger company, and they offer benefits. And so if I move from here to there, then I can support my family. I can provide dental and medical, and I can provide all of this medical coverage for my family. And so I think it makes perfect sense that they would move from one job to another. But you got to be careful that we don't approach following God the same way. Because God doesn't give opportunities. I know some of you don't disagree. It's okay. I disagree with myself sometimes. What he gives us are assignments. Let that sink in for just a second. The difference between an opportunity and an assignment is that an opportunity might bring your name fame. You with me? It's an opportunity to better myself. It's an opportunity for me to climb the corporate ladder of success. But an assignment will bring God's name fame. An opportunity might build your brand. And everybody, it seems, is into building brands. I see it with pastors all the time. They're building a brand. It's all about the brand. It's all about the image. The cool word is brand. To me, it's an image. I'm trying to create an image. And most of the time, I wonder, is it a legit image or is it just fake, right? So opportunities is about you building your brand. But an assignment is about building God's kingdom. An opportunity may be about pleasing yourself, advancing yourself. But our assignment, and it doesn't matter what the assignment is. Quit looking at it as big or small assignments. Doesn't matter what your assignment is. The end game is always the same. It's about pleasing God and serving others. That's what it's about. It doesn't matter what you do. It's about God. It's about people watching God work through you to accomplish something you could not accomplish on your own. Are you with me? So then he gets the glory and not you. I came here to tell somebody this morning that today is not your day to give up your God-given assignment for a man-made opportunity. When we get to heaven, we're not going to hear, "Well done, my good and successful servant." God's not going to pull you up in front of everybody and say, "Let me tell you what, this boy started off here, and he pastored a church of, 30 people. And that is where I started. 34. There were 4 more people there that day. But now look at him. This is success. That's not success. He'll say, you know what? He had some hard times. It was tough. But through it all, he was faithful. Whew. But faithfulness is easier said than done. Sounds good on Sunday morning. Let's just wrap up and go home. What do you say? For example, Galatians 6, verse 9, let us not become weary in doing good. Why do you think Paul said, let's not become weary in doing good? You know why he said it? Because you can become weary in doing good. Right? He said, at the proper time, we will reap a harvest if we don't give up. It's easy to start something. It's hard to finish. Maybe you felt like God called you to do something and you were excited in the beginning, right? The God, the creator of the heavens and the earth, the God, the creator of the universe, he spoke to you. You heard his voice and it was mind-blowing. And maybe for the first time you went, oh my gosh, it's you. You were speaking to me. Have mercy. I must matter. And then you started and you've watched God work. It was easy to start, but it's hard to finish. And maybe your expectations didn't meet reality. And you start to wobble a little bit. You start to question, right? Have you ever said this? God, I think God spoke to me. In the beginning, you said, God spoke to me. God spoke to me and he gave me a word. And then it's, I think God spoke to me. And then it's, well, I was pretty sure God spoke to me. And then it was, the Bible does say that the devil will come at you as a sheep, as a wolf in sheep's clothing, right? So did I hear from God? Was it God? And maybe I'm in this, maybe I made all this up. And if you've never been there, hang on, you probably will at some point. Aren't you glad? I'm just here to encourage. It's easy to start. It's harder to finish. It's hard to finish well. So watch this for 10 years. Can you imagine? Just think about it for 10 years. For 10 years. If just in the first 10 years, what did he see accomplished in the first 10 years? Of a project that's 50 to 75 years? I mean, I can't imagine in the first year he looked back and he went, whew, this is impossible. We'll never make it. I don't know if I'll ever live long enough. Well, he lived to be 950, so I guess he had a day or two, but he didn't know how long he was going to live, did he? And there had to be a point when he said, wow, I mean, are we ever going to get this thing off the ground? and then it was 20 years. Another 10 years passed. Another 10 years passed, and based on the scholars, he's not even halfway yet. He's not even halfway. And now there's 20 years of hard work, 20 years of criticism from his neighbors, 20 years of ridicule and people making fun of him and saying, you must be crazy, old man. And then there was 30 years, and then 40 years, and then 50 years, and then maybe 60, 70, 75. But Noah just kept working. One hammer swing at a time. One nail at a time. For 50 to 75 years. I believe every single follower of Jesus has a boat to build. So here's the question for you today. What boat is God calling you to build? What is it? Maybe God's calling you to build the boat of your marriage. I mean, it was easy during the honeymoon stage, right? Hello? We need to do a marriage and family conference, obviously. Y'all are having a lot of fun. I'm just saying the honeymoon stage, hello. Whoop! Are y'all scared? What's wrong? And maybe those first few years of marriage without kids, maybe it was easy in the beginning. There was time, and then you had kids. It got complicated, didn't it? It got complicated. I mean, and then there have to be babysitters, and then I say kids, and maybe you had a kid, then you had two, then you had three. And now there's not time anymore. And you know what you figure out? You figure out that having a great marriage is hard work. It's hard work, and you have to be intentional. And we didn't go to school that day. They didn't teach us that at school. They didn't teach us that in Sunday school. You're just supposed to meet each other, fall head over heels in love, have a house full of babies, and live happily ever after. They forgot to tell us that in order to have a great marriage, it's going to take hard work. And what about having kids? What about raising kids? It was easy in the beginning, right? You said, no. When's the last time you had a child? Babies are hard work. And those of us that are my age and have raised children go, you just wait. These are the easy years. They are. You know why it's easy? Because you have control. For those of you that are control freaks, you'll love this part. But then how do you raise a family of faith in this crazy, whacked out world that we live in? How do you do it? Because I'm going to tell you what. Being a Christian parent's hard work. Yeah, it is. You're going to have to take stands, and you're going to have to stand on truth, and you're going to have to say no. Today's God's calling somebody to pick up the hammer and to build a boat. Here's some great news. Philippians 2, verse 13, for it is God who works in you to will and to act according to fulfill his good purpose. People have said to me so many times over the last couple of years, knowing I was going to retire, and I retired, last August, and people have said so many kind things. And one of those things, I know you're proud of what you've built. And every single time, and people think, I guess it's false humility. No, it's not. I didn't do this. I did not do this. I feel like that kid who did not study. Well, actually, I'm the kid who put his books in the locker day one and never went back to that locker. I'm that kid. You think I'm kidding? No, I'm serious. I would go back, but by then I done forgot my locker, the combination. I can't get in it. And I sit down to take a test, and the teacher stands behind me and says, here's the answer to number 1. Here's number 2. Here's number 3. And then I get to the discussion questions, and he says, just take notes. Write this down. And then when you're done, see, you turn in the test and you go, I can't take credit for this. How can I take credit for this? It wasn't me. And that's exactly the way I feel. It was not me. I didn't do this. God did this. Amen. Now listen. Thank you. That's awesome. But here's the cool thing. When you pick up the assignment, when you pick up the hammer, you don't have to be successful in the world's terms, because that's not your measurement. Your measurement is to be faithful. It's to be faithful. And just let God do what he needs to do. So, what boat's God calling you to build? Maybe it's the boat of truth. I won't stay here too long. But I do think it's time that the church understood what it meant to stand on truth. And not stand up here and holler, yell, and scream, point our fingers at everybody. Because remember, we're just as guilty as everybody else, right? We're all guilty. I'm guilty. I'm in my third 12-step study, and I'm telling you it's going to last a lifetime. The rest of my life, I'm committed to it. I'm not going to graduate. You know why? Because I'm still going to be a sinner when it's over with. That's why. I'm still jacked up. I'm still messed up. So we speak truth, but we learn how to do it in love. And when people see our eyes, they see our compassion and our care. I'm not telling you this to be mean. I'm not even telling you something that I probably got 5 things in my own life. We just got to build the boat of truth. Maybe that's it for you. So what boat is God calling you to build? Some of you feel like you're too messed up, too jacked up, and you've sinned and are sinning way too much and your life's just too messy for God. Romans 5, verse 8. But God demonstrates his own love for us in this. While we were yet sinners, God, seeing you for who you are, he still went to the cross and he died for you. Whew. I've been saying this for a long, long time. And it's been a while. So with great joy this morning, if nobody's told you lately, I just want to tell you that God's crazy about you. He loves you more than you could possibly imagine. And it's not cheap words. He went to the cross, and on the cross, he died the most horrible death. Why? Because he loves you. You matter to him. On the third day, he was raised from the dead. And what God is calling you this morning is let's begin to build the boat of your faith. Give your life to me. And you say, I'm a mess. He says, I know. Give me your life. So if you're here this morning, you're not a follower of Jesus and you'd like to be, every head's bowed and every eye's closed. No one's looking around. And maybe you just pray a simple prayer like this. Maybe you just say, Father, I'm a sinner. I know I'm a sinner. You know I'm a sinner. And I'm confessing to you that I am. I'm asking you to forgive me of my sins. I believe in what you did for me on the cross. And thank you for dying. Thank you for shedding your blood to pay the penalty for my sin. And I believe you're alive. And I need that life in me. So I'm committing my life to you. Thank you for your love. Thank you for the free, wonderful, blessed gift of salvation. Everybody look this way. One of the favorite things that we get to do as followers of Jesus is participate in this thing called communion, the Lord's Supper, as it's called. You have, for those of you that are brand new to this, you have cards right there that will explain it to you. And just so you know, it's for those of us that are followers of Jesus. You can just sit back and kind of watch. Jesus, on the night before he was crucified, brought his disciples together. And he began to talk in terms, quite honestly, they couldn't understand. This was before he was arrested. This was before the cross. But he looked at them and he passed out bread and he said, this thing that we've been partaking of called the Passover is going to take completely new meaning. There's going to be another lamb. Again, you'll have to study on your own, that was slain, and I'm going to be the lamb. And he said, I want you to take the bread and I want you to remember as you take this bread, I don't ever want you to forget the price that's going to be paid for you and what you're going to experience in the next few days. And as you partake of this bread, I want you to remember my body that's going to be given. And again, they couldn't comprehend. On a Roman cross. And I want you to remember the incredible love I have for you. And then he took the wine. And he talked in terms that sometimes religious people today don't want to hear about. The blood. Life is actually in the blood. And Jesus said, I know there's something that you can't comprehend or understand, but in a few hours from now, actually, they're going to put me on a cross and I'm going to shed my blood for you. And as often as you drink of this cup, I want you to remember the price that was paid for you, all because I love you. Still to this day, there's nothing that stirs me any more than the cross. The beauty, the pain, the ugliness of it all. And yet, to reflect on the incredible price that was paid for an old wretched sinner like me. So the band's gonna sing. And as they sing, I just want you to reflect. And some of you, if you wanna sit, you can sit. It's okay, I'll probably sit, I'm tired. Some of you might wanna stand. You do whatever you feel led to do as the band leads us. So if you want to know what the motivation is for faithfulness over the long haul, that's it. It is to remember the incredible price that was paid on Calvary for you. So go build your boat. I love you. Have a great day. See you next week. Bye.